So Christmas has come and gone, which means two things. One, my retail job won't be as busy and everyone can calm the hell down. And two, I can finally share with you guys what I've been working on. I actually made gifts for a coworker and my boyfriend this year, and I wanted to document the process to show you guys the steps I took and some of the obstacles I ran into. So, back in October, a coworker asked me to draw her dog. At the time, I was going through some personal things, and I didn't have the time or the motivation to really work on it. But with Christmas coming up, and with the added bonus of having more free time to work on my art, I knew it was the perfect opportunity to get started. For the materials, I used a 9x12 mixed media sketchbook by Strathmore, graphite pencils in 6B, HB, and 6H. For blending, I used a cotton pad and some silicone shaping tools, and for a sealer, I used a final matte fixative, just to make sure nothing would smudge and make sure it would hold up over time. I started by loosely sketching out the dog, just making sure I got the proportions correct and got somewhat of a likeness before committing to any final lines. You always want to take your time when you're sketching out your drawing. This is the time to experiment with the placement of things, and it'll help make the rendering easier in the end. You can see I drew lines on the face that aren't really there on the reference to help judge if the distance of certain features were correct. Basically how I do this is use the tip of my pencil to float along the space between 2 points on the reference, and then moving the pencil back and forth, trying to get a feel for how much space there is. After that, I then move over to my actual drawing and try to find that same distance. It's honestly just a little bit of guessing and somewhat of an intuition, if anything. I learned how to do this by watching Sygra here on YouTube. I can't remember exactly what video it was, but I remember he used to do this a lot, so I just picked it up. If you still struggle with getting a likeness, it also helped me to block out the shadows on the face and the body. This creates negative space. You'll want to focus more on the shape of the shadow itself rather than the space between objects. Okay, so this is what I've done so far. It's been a while since I've done a drawing like this before, and these are the tools I'm using right now. Sorry, I know it's kind of zoomed in. I actually found that using these... Here, let me see if I can grab one. This is just a little silicone tool. I think it's mostly used for like sculpting clay, but I've been using it to blend the graphite out, and it actually works relatively well. I actually switched to a little cotton pad. It was from a one of those like face wipe cotton pad things, and so I started using that to help blend out some of the graphite even more, and I think it's looking a lot better. Definitely better than I expected. I'm trying to really push the contrast and make sure that I have like the darkest tones. That way it helps with everything else. It helps me judge the other grays, I guess, a little bit better. So this is what the picture looks like. It was originally in color, but sorry, I know it's blurry. It was in color, but I put it in black and white, obviously, because I'm doing just a pencil drawing. So I might eventually maybe invest in a darker pencil. Right now I'm using, I think it's a 6B is the darkest one I have. I'll check back in with you guys later. I think it's been maybe about an hour and a half or so. I didn't really keep track of the time, but this is just what I've done. It's looking really good so far. I like it a lot. I think it's day 3 of working on this drawing, and this is what I have so far. I'm making a lot of progress. I think I could probably finish it by the end of the night. The hard part was really just the face, but then, you know, it's just a lot of, not empty space, but just a lot of space to go through, and then just the collar, which doesn't really need a lot of shading as it is. And then the background, I'm probably just gonna take the pencil and just add some like little smudges here and there for sort of an abstract, I guess, sort of background, just so it's not blank. But this is what I've got so far. So I'll see you in the next little update. I want to say I'm almost on the home stretch, but really it's just the body I have left. I already kind of mapped out the darkest areas of the torso, and then all I really have is just the background, and then here you can see I have the reference there. So that's what I've been doing so far. 3 in the morning now. Kind of procrastinated a little bit. I made some dinner, watched a little TV, played some games and stuff like that, but I came back. I kind of had to force myself, and I'm working on the torso now. I feel like it's coming together. I thought honestly this would be the easy part, but I'm finding that there's just a lot of, I guess, just subtle changes in tones. Just, you know, like the sides that are like right here, they're supposed to be like the darkest tones, like almost pure black. So this is what I've done so far. Like I said, I just really need this middle section. This is supposed to be a little bit dark, and then I need to touch up just this big area and then some of the stuff on the side. But I did the collar. It kind of blends in with the little buckle, kind of blends in with the dark spots of the fur, but at least you can tell that it's there. But I think he's looking good so far. I honestly can't wait to see what it looks like when it's all said and done. I gotta be honest though, working on this thing, it's getting to me a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. I just kind of want this to be done and over with because I have other projects I need to complete before Christmas, since this is supposed to be a Christmas gift. But that's where I am, so I'll see you guys in the next update. And this is what the finished drawing looks like. I haven't done something like this since high school, so to see how much progress I've made over the years is amazing. The next gift was a bit more challenging because it involves using a medium I don't normally use. I wanted to do something special for my boyfriend. He has 2 cats, which he loves a lot, and I thought it would be great if I could paint some portraits of them. Also, part of the gift was these 2 embroidered stockings for both the cats and us. It really came down to the wire when I finished both of these. I managed to finish everything the day we were going to exchange gifts. Needless to say, I had to bring up my hairdryer to make the dry time faster, and also finish the last bit of embroidery I had. For the materials I used 2 8x8 canvases, assorted brushes, gesso, acrylic paint in cadmium red, cadmium yellow medium, ultramarine blue, Naples yellow, burnt sienna, and titanium white. I also used some craft paint in black and white, mostly just to save on some of the titanium white, and I did need some black in the end. I also used a matte varnish to seal and protect the paintings when they were done. I sketched out the cats in my sketchbook with the plan to take a picture of them and print them out. Although when I drew them out, some things just looked off, especially the second cat. I didn't want to redraw them traditionally, so I opted to take them into Tool Sai and sketch them digitally. You can see I just redraw over my initial sketch, but take extra care to make sure the spacing and angles of the animal are correct. Because I'm working digitally too, it gives me the chance to flip the canvas to see if there are any mistakes. Afterwards, I took my sketches and blew them up to the right size. It did take some trial and error, but in the end, I found what worked for me. Using some old chalk pastels, I covered the back of the drawing with the white and dusted off the excess. I then taped my picture into place on the canvas, and using a dotting tool, I traced the lines. This transfers the pastel onto the canvas. From there, we just began painting. Because I didn't have a tripod when recording this, I could only get photo progress shots. I rarely paint, but I do want to get better, so finding a way that I like to work is still a work in progress. For a palette, I used a sheet of tinfoil, so the cleanup was pretty easy. I will say that it might have helped if I mixed my colors before painting, instead of on the fly like I was doing. But I didn't want to waste too much paint since I don't have any containers to store the remaining amount. Acrylic paint is all about layers, building up the colors gradually and slowly. The painting will always go through an ugly phase, which is to be expected, but just keep pushing on and eventually it'll start looking good. I did find that on the second painting, I was jumping around a bit too much on random areas, so it did help to just pick a corner of the painting and work from that corner down. That way I could see the progress as I went. When both paintings were complete, I used some matte varnish to seal and protect them. Overall, I'm proud of how much I was able to do this month, and having the extra time to work my art has been a blessing. I want to do more of these kinds of videos and just make more content in general for YouTube. So I hope you guys had a great holiday, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye guys!